How are you? How are you on this Monday? How's it going? Is it going well? I hope it is. It's fine if it's not. Not every day goes well, but I hope it's going well for you. We're going to do a bit of meditation. This isn't a class, it's a chance to just a chance to meditate together. These meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. If you're interested in that, I'll explain about it when we're finished the meditation. If you're an experienced meditator, great. Can you hang on for a minute while I explain what I do, just for the because that's what I do on Mondays. On Wednesday and Thursday we just meditate, but Wednesday and Friday we just meditate, but on Mondays I explain what I do. There's lots of different types of meditation. This is what I do. For me, it starts with why I would meditate. I'm trying to connect with the part of me that I connect to every night when I go to sleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm sort of dreaming and then I drop out the bottom of dreaming into deep dreamless sleep, where I have no thoughts, no memories, no emotions, no feelings. I don't really have a body, I don't have a bed, I don't really have anything. Just everything. I don't even have me, because I cease to exist. In deep dreamless sleep, I cease to exist, certainly in the way that I normally register my existence. Which, you know, when you add all that up, that sounds awful, doesn't it? That sounds like death. And yet I love going to sleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I feel refreshed. So somewhere I know that wherever I go to in deep dreamless sleep is a good place. And that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I want to go to that place. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, if you're new to meditation, don't try this lying down. Or I'd strongly discourage you from trying it lying down, because if you lie down to meditate, there's a good chance that you'll fall asleep. And if you don't fall asleep, you'll battle sleep. But either way, it's kind of contrary to what we're trying to do. So sit up. You don't have to sit in a lotus position or anything like that. I'm just sitting in a chair. If you're going to sit in a chair, make sure it's not a big comfortable armchair where you're just going to maybe fall asleep again. So yeah, sit up. Now, as I was saying, this place that I go to, I have no thoughts there. It's not somewhere my mind can get to. It's almost like it's a place that my mind has to wait outside the door when I go into. So it's important to get my mind on board with the whole meditation thing. Now, if this is the first time you're meditating, that's not going to be a problem, because mind's like new things. So your mind will be up for it. It'll be like, yay, meditation, that sounds interesting. What's that like? Having your mind on board is only really a thing if you're trying to meditate regularly. Then by about the fifth or sixth time, your mind kind of knows the drill and it'll be a bit, bored with the whole thing. If you're having trouble with that, I can talk about it at the end if you want to leave me a question. I've lost my feed on Instagram, the art Instagram one, so I don't know if I'll be able to see your question. But you could always email me or leave a message, comment. So mind is on board. Good. Next thing, stop thinking. Now, that is easier than it sounds. It's easy to stop, because regardless of what I am thinking about, which would be the content of my thoughts, the structure of my thoughts is always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the picture and I turn off the sound, that's it. I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel with the intention of my meditation. So the intention is, as I said, to go to this deep, still, calm place. The practice of meditation runs parallel with it, and it pretty much starts as soon as I stop thinking. And it'll go something like, I'll turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, so I'll bring myself to not thinking. Then some time will pass and I'll discover I'm thinking again. So I go, I'm thinking, right, fine. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time will pass and I'll discover I'm thinking again. I go, I'm thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time will pass and I'll discover I'm thinking again, and so on. You get the idea. It's very simple. Every time I discover I'm thinking, I bring myself back to not thinking. That's that's it, okay? And it's important to know that thinking can happen in meditation, because it's easy to get the misconception that to meditate properly you shouldn't be thinking at all, which isn't true. Because both the practice of meditation and the intention of meditation, they work together. They do a sort of a little dance, you know. Sometimes you'll be very still and deep, and you can feel that in your nervous system, and your whole body sort of starts to settle. Other times you'll be discovering that you're thinking, and both are powerful in their own way. It's kind of obviously powerful when you're, you know, in this very deep kind of still kind of feeling, but it's also powerful when you are discovering that you're thinking, because if you're like me, the sorts of things that you think about are all kind of to do with you. So I'll be thinking, what did I say that for? Why did that person say that thing to me? Or what am I going to do about this other thing? Now, if I'm in the middle of one of those thoughts and I'm in the middle of meditating and I realize I'm thinking, I go, oh, I'm thinking, I turn off the pictures, turn off the sound. Indirectly, what I'm demonstrating to myself is that, you know, that thought that you were just having, the one that you thought was you and that you were it, well, you just made it disappear. So you're obviously not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's very powerful. And then the fact that you do that repeatedly is very powerful as well. So I discourage you from allowing your mind to comment on how your meditation is going, because minds like to do that. They like to go, oh, you're just thinking the whole time. You're rubbish at this. There's no right number of times that you should be bringing yourself back from thinking, because it varies from day to day, hour to hour. You could meditate in the morning and only have to bring yourself back from thinking a couple of times. And then you might meditate in the afternoon and you might have to bring yourself back from thinking a lot. Now, that doesn't make one better than the other. It doesn't work like that. The main thing is, the golden rule is, every time you discover that you're thinking, you bring yourself back to not thinking. If you do that, you're doing it right. You're doing great. Now, while all that's going on, I'm also becoming a bit more conscious of my body, and particularly tension in my body. So I'm sort of scanning my body from my head down to my feet, back up again, very slowly, very gently. Anywhere I find tension, I'm letting it go. And I'm using my out-breath to let it go. Because it's natural. It's just, you know, when I find tension and I breathe it away, it feels very natural. You feel like you're doing something. And you can feel the tension easing. But also, it's a good way to remember to breathe, because it's quite easy to forget to breathe during meditation. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. It's quite easy to hold your breath or to stop breathing altogether. So using the out breath consciously to let go of tension is a good way to do it. Now, as I'm scanning myself up and down, I'm spending a little bit more time, or I'm focusing a little bit more on any areas or structures in my body that go across my body, transverse. Because mostly my body runs longitudinally. But anywhere that goes across my body, or any structures that go across or transverse my body, they behave a little bit like a log going across a stream. They pick up all the leaves and the branches and the twigs and whatever, except in my body, that's tension. So I'll spend a bit more time on my eyes. There's the transverse site, my jaw, my tongue, base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, my joints. All my joints are transverse sites, so my shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers, my heart area, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. Having a nice quiet room is very helpful if you're starting out in meditation, because one of the things that triggers thoughts is noise, little noises, and as soon as you close your eyes to meditate, your hearing amplifies. So having a nice quiet room where you're not going to be disturbed is very helpful, just at the beginning. The other thing I do to help my mind have less things to think about is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. But if you're new to meditation, I'd encourage you to set yours for 5 minutes. The reason for that is 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. And even with the timer, your mind will probably kick in around 7 minutes and go, that's got to be 15 minutes. I should check my watch. So set it for 5 minutes and then repeat it 3 times. Okay, so I'm just going to set mine for 15 minutes. Okay, off we go then into the mystery. Right, so if you feel like you've traveled, if you've gone deep, you may need to take a little bit of time to come back from that before you open your eyes. Or if you feel like you can hold the inner space and the outer space at the same time, then you can just open your eyes. And if when you do that you feel like you've lost connection with the inner space, you can just close your eyes again to reconnect with it, and then open them again and close them again as you need to, just to sort of use your eyes like a valve to balance the inner space and the outer space. So as I said at the beginning, these meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. Further emergence is to do with growth, inner growth, growth in consciousness. You could call it spiritual growth, growth in awareness, that kind of growth, because your body stops growing when you become an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. That goes on for your whole life. You only have to think about who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, to see that you're different, that you've changed. So you keep growing on the inside. That keeps going. And then just like when you were a child, you might have gone through periods of accelerated growth in your body. They're called growth spurts. That happens on the inside as well. You go through, you're sort of continually growing, and then you go through periods of accelerated growth as well, like inner growth spurts. The big difference is that when you were a child and you were going through a growth spurt and you went to your parents and said, oh, I've got pains in my legs or my shins or wherever you're having the growing pains, your parents wouldn't have rushed you to hospital. They wouldn't have even brought you to the doctor. They would have just said, oh, well, that's natural. It's difficult and it's painful, but it'll pass. It's much harder to know that when you're an adult, when you're 25, 35, 45, 65, whatever. It's much harder to know that it's a natural process when you're going through an inner growth spurt. There's a much bigger space to feel like there's something wrong with you, or you're broken in some way and that you need to be fixed. So the further emergence is about supporting growth generally, inner growth generally, and then specifically for those periods of inner growth spurts where it's very difficult. And these meditations are part of that support. Because the more familiar you are with your inner space, the easier it is to navigate those inner growth spurts. So we do these on Monday, Wednesday and Friday. On Wednesday and Friday we just meditate. There's no talking as such. We just get on with it, because meditating together is very powerful and it's very helpful. Then every 2 weeks there's a retreat, and they last up to 4 hours, usually on a Saturday. And that's a chance to meditate more deeply. We do we have been doing 3 longish meditations. Again, that all helps with the inner space. Also, it's a chance to sort of connect with other people who are going through a similar kind of process and realize, oh yeah, I'm not on my own with this. Because it's one of the hard things about if you're in an inner growth spurt, is you can feel very isolated and alone with it. You can feel like almost overnight nobody gets you, nobody knows what you're talking about, and you don't fit in your life anymore. It can be very disorienting. So one of the benefits of the retreats is that you can see, oh yeah, there's other people, oh yeah, okay, and you can hear what's going on for them as well. So the retreats are great. Then I also work one-to-one with people, because the way that an inner growth spurt can manifest is very individual to each person. Can come in lots of different ways. So getting very specific feedback is really helpful about your particular situation. Because I've been through it myself loads of times. I've helped loads of people through it as well. And the one-to-one work is a combination of that kind of talking and reflecting back and forth, and then I also work behind the scenes. So I use craniosacral skills to do that, and basically the person I'm working with, they lie down and I work away here, and they feel it there. And what I'm working on is to help their system. And by system I mean mind, body, spirit, the whole thing, to harmonize that process of this growth spurt that they're going through. I also have written a couple of books. I've written 4 books. They're all roughly around the subject of further emergence. So those are the ways we support. I'm saying we, it's not the royal we, because there is a kind of growing community of people. I'm the focus of it, I'm the focal point of it, or the pivot point of it, or the facilitator, that's a better word for it. But there's a lot of other people involved as well. So yeah, if you've listened all the way to this point, maybe something inside you is going, oh, okay, there's some little resonance going on there, in which case I would encourage you to let that tell you what the next thing to do is. Maybe it's just start to go, yeah, I've been wanting to meditate. I'm gonna use the fact that John is there every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm going to use that as a little anchor. And if you're doing that, I'd encourage you to subscribe on YouTube, because YouTube will send you a notification when I'm about to start, or when I start the live meditation. So it's a good way of getting a reminder. Or it might be, yeah, those retreats sound good, but I think I'll just watch some of the videos maybe, or listen to the podcast, because the podcast is the audio from some of the retreats. So I think I'm interested in those. That one-to-one thing, yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll check that out. Or those books sound interesting, or none of those. All of which are fine. That part of you will know what the next thing for you to do is. You can find out all about it on the website furtheremergence.com. It's all there. So yeah, I'll just let that part let you, it'll inform you what's the right thing for you. Okay, so thanks for meditating with me, and I'll see you on Wednesday for some more meditation. Bye.